All right, I am here with Shahob Mehr. He works for William Raymond Communications, and I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you do and what you do in the sports industry.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Logan. I really appreciate it. And like you said, I work for William Raymond Communications. I'm the social media marketing manager for the company. I've been with them since inception, so I think around April, May of 2018, and we just kept the ball rolling. I pretty much handle like I work with our clients and like handling their social media. Like gives them little tips, little backgrounds, how to like navigate it throughout like any like anything that comes up, with COVID, with like games, wins,
Mhm.
losses, whatever it is. I pretty much, work hand in hand with them, try to grow their brand. And in return, like that will help them, make money in the future, help them, with whatever career goal they may set their sights on. Cause I always tell them, for the average fan, the first, eyes and ears like they get from you is, through social media. Like that's what they've learned the most about you besides, watching you on Sundays or, on the basketball courts. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do in a nutshell. It's really fun. It's entertaining. You learn so much about people and, about their families, backgrounds, whatever it may be. So I love what I do.
Who are some big names that you actually have in the company?
Yeah, so we represent, Adrian Peterson, Calais Campbell, Logan Ryan, DJ Shark, just to name a few. Some great guys, real
Mhm.
fun to talk to, hilarious people, down to earth, and some of the best people you'll ever meet.
All right, let's get into some questions here. What attracted you to go into this sports industry, the crazy world of sports that we live in today?
Well, I'll tell you a cliche answer. As a kid, like you played sports, you're like, oh, I want to be like him when I grow up. And then one of the first athletes I watched was the first two athletes I watched actually was, Kobe Bryant and then Tamu Solani, who played for the Mighty Ducks back then. And those are like the first two. It's random, I know. It was one of the first two athletes I watched, and I was like, dang, I really want to be involved in sports some way, somehow. And when I realized in high school that I'm not cut out to play pro, I'm like, all right, cool. What's the next step? Let's find our way into sports. So I did my undergrad at Long Beach State for kinesiology, and then I realized, hey, I really don't like the sports science of things. Let's pivot again. So I went to grad school at Long Beach State again for sports management, and that's when I realized, okay, this is where I want to be. I want to be on the business side of sports, and haven't looked back since.
So you said you went to college for kinesiology and then you switched to sports management and then you ended up in the sports media. What
Mm-hmm.
kind of led you to the sports media side of it?
Well, the sports media, I would say I just got really lucky with it. So in our grad school point of view field, they'll get experience and whatnot. So I interned with Global Sports Entertainment and their talent booking agency. And at the time I was like, what the hell is that? And then, their job pretty much was to, their clients are like, I forgot what their clients are, ESPN, Disney, CBS, and they'll come to them with like, hey, we need to book 10 people for this segment about athletes who love their moms a lot. And then I, as the intern, be like, Shahab, can you find us 10 athletes who love their moms, to like a lot. And then so I would go back and give them 15 athletes, like 2 3 bullet points, like, oh, he did so and so with his mom here, him and his mom started a foundation there. And then when my internship was up, one of their friends, who is my current CEO right now, Lauren, amazing person, by the way,
I've actually
was like,
met
hey,
her.
I'm starting my own agency. Did you?
Yeah, I've
Oh, I remember
met
we
her.
talked about that.
Yeah, at the
Yeah.
SEAT conference the last 2 years. In
I remember
DC.
that now. Yeah, she's honestly an awesome person. Yeah, and honestly an awesome person. Like no other person I'd rather work for.
Mhm.
But yeah, she was like, I need help. I'm starting my agency. I need like send me your best guys. And she sent me the guy. My internship sent me, and then one of my other colleagues who I also went to grad school with. So that's how we kind of like entered the sports media that way.
Does he still work with the company today?
Yeah, we're all together. Yeah,
All
me and
together?
him, we were class. Yeah, we're all together. Yeah, he was a cohort ahead of me at Long Beach State, and then also coincidentally, he also trained me on my internship on his last day. So we kind of met briefly at my internship, and then
Mhm.
we reconnected again like a year later. So we're like, dang, what are the odds of that?
All right, so we're gonna dive a little bit more deeper into your job. What's the day to day kind of look like for you and your job? I know it's never really the same, most likely, but what's like an example of something you would do on a daily?
Oh, you hit it on the head, man. Day to day, pretty much, it's, pretty much like browsing. First thing I do, I will first of all, search all our guys' names up, see who's popping up in the news, who's doing what, see what promotional events they're doing. They're doing any charity events. And then on game days, especially, is what I kind of enjoy the most on Sundays. So, where we track them, as they get ready for pregame, their pregame, walking to the stadium, just like watching them like during the games. And then if they make a big play, I'll like make a post about it and stuff. And that's just kind of like one of the minor details of what I do every single day. Other days, it's like, okay, cool, let's write a press release for this event, or let's hit up this brand because one of our clients likes this, so let's go find a brand that fits them the best. So we'll reach out to different people, reach out to different foundations, charities, always like trying to make the best for our clients, because we have to know them like inside out, as a person, as an athlete, as a human being. And that's what our company thrives off, like your guys and treat them like family.
So you talked about how you had an internship. How important do you feel internships are in the sporting realm of business side of sports?
Incredibly important, real important. It comes from my own personal experience, because in undergrad, I barely did internships. I was like I was a stupid college kid. Just like I wanted to graduate. I'm like, whatever, get your B's and A's, go have fun on the weekend party and then whatnot. And then reality hits when you can't get a job at all because, you have no experience. So when I got into grad school, I was like, all right, I cannot blow this one. So internships, networking, meeting people really puts you a long way. Networking, I'm sure you guys all know this too. It's just as important as like getting that internship experience. That will take you a long way, more than, people look at your work you do. That's one piece of the puzzle, but networking, how you make people feel, how you vibe with them, it will take you farther than you can imagine.
All right. So William Raymond, what do they offer in terms of internship wise? Do you know anything on that?
We currently do not have any internship openings right now, but if it opens, I'll hit you up first, post it out, bring the best people in for us. But as for internships, there, I was gonna say, I'm sorry.
You're good.
They will either, shadow me or Steele, help us out with, any marketing stuff, social media stuff. So we're kind of all over the place with that.
All right. So there's some people in sports have had this. I don't know if you have or not, but it's the you made it moment. Have you had your moment that you're like, okay, I'm comfortable, I've made it into sports? Have you had that moment? If so, what is that moment for you?
I would say my first Super Bowl experience, that was my biggest I made it moment. It happened literally a week after I graduated from my grad program. We did our thesis presentation on Saturday, and then Wednesday we had to head to Atlanta for the Super Bowl to prepare for all the events and stuff going on. You land in Atlanta, you see the whole buzz. You go into, I think we were staying at the Patriots team hotel as well in Atlanta. But you go there, you see all these fans with jerseys, you see media, you see press, you see guys you see on TV, from when you were a kid. And then in my mind, I kind of stepped aside for a second during my downtime, and I took a deep breath. I was like, holy shit, I made it. This is incredible. I'm lucky to be here. That was that moment. I was like, all right, it's time.
That was the Super Bowl last year, not the most recent one, but the year before it, correct?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah. How was that?
Oh, I was at the Miami one as well. I was at the last two. So I was actually at the Atlanta and the Miami Super Bowls.
Damn.
I got this shirt right here I got at Miami.
Oh, okay. Now I see it. I was like, wait, what is he wearing?
Yeah, the Super Bowl, the most
we
recent
were running
Super Bowl
to each
shirt.
other.
I don't think
we
did.
were running to each other. No.
I was working in the experience majority of the time.
Okay.
And then in Atlanta on game day, I was wayfinding. And then this year I was in credentials.
Okay. Oh, dude, you're all over the place then.
I know. It was an interesting experience. The Super Bowl. It's crazy.
Dude, it's people don't know. If you don't work in sports, you think it's just all right, cool. Sunday is the game and that's it. But it's weeks, months of preparation going into it.
I know that Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday, those 3 days combined, I got, I think, 6 hours of sleep. Because I worked the experience late on Saturday night, and then I worked pro camp early on Saturday morning, and then I worked late that Saturday night and was at credentialing at 4 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, dude, literally, I'm
So,
telling you, it's like you wake up at 6, 7 a.m., whatever it is. You don't sleep till 1 to 2 a.m. and then repeat for like however
oh, I
long you're
know.
in that town. Yeah, and then like by the time you land back into your hometown, you kind of turn off your phone for like a day. You're like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Leave me alone. You don't exist.
I know that. I know that experience. All right.
Hmm.
So, in your opinion, what is the biggest thing that someone looking to break in the industry can do to break into the sporting industry?
I would guess what we talked about earlier, like network, reach out to people. In my personal opinion, I would say go on Twitter. You know, Twitter has been the best networking option for me, where you follow people, you engage with them, you see the first job openings on Twitter. And the sports community on Twitter is really cool. Like it's really full of good people who engage with each other, and a lot of people I know have found their jobs through Twitter
Through
instead of like
Twitter.
applying. Yeah, instead of applying through teamwork, because all the employees of like whatever agency or team you work for, they
Mhm.
always like personally tweet out their own like stuff like, hey, my company's looking to hire, send me your best people, and then leave their email or whatever application there is. So
Really? I've not heard Twitter before on that.
oh, I'm a huge advocate for Twitter, my friend.
I've heard LinkedIn for jobs. That's the first I've heard. Look on Twitter for your jobs.
LinkedIn is very like it's too formal, I would say, like too
Gotcha.
formal to button up, versus on Twitter, like 1 second I could be talking about sports, the other I'm like, hey, someone's hiring, and then the other I'm just like messing around with everyone. I'm like all over the place on Twitter.
Twitter's a very fun one. I'm on there, but I'm not too active on Twitter. I guess I need to get more active on Twitter.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything in your path that specifically stands out on how you got to where you are today? Like one moment that really stands out to you that defined your path to where you are.
um I would say my path to working in sports has been very unorthodox. Like, it wasn't like the usual, like, clear cut route of like, finish school and then have that prestigious internship job and go back to school. It was more like, you graduate undergrad, you're on this high for like a week, and then you're like, okay, cool, I need to find a job now. And then you're unemployed for 6, 7 months, and then you're like, dude, I just want a chance. I just want a chance. And then you get into grad school and you're like, all right, that was my big moment. I was like, this is my chance. Don't blow it. So I would say like literally a year after I finished undergrad is when I got accepted again to my sports management program. And I was like, this is my time to shine. Like, do not blow it. Like, this was here for a reason.
All right, so there's something really big that's well known in the sports management industry, and it's that most people relocate to get into their
Mm.
job. Did you have to relocate at all, or were you one of the lucky few who got to stay near your home area for your job?
I'm one of the lucky few, man. I'm one of the lucky few. And then luckily, I live in LA, so it's like the capital, like the sports and media capital of the
Mhm.
world. So everyone comes here. The SBs are here. So even if you work in other cities, you're always coming to LA for some reason. So I landed in the perfect city, perfect spot, perfect time.
All right, is there you're pretty comfortable, it sounds like, in your position, but is there anywhere else that with your career that you are looking to do? Like, are you looking to stay with the company and move up, or are you looking elsewhere to move diagonally and up?
I'm honestly staying with the company. It's like something that you grew up with. Like
Mhm.
I was one of the first two hired, so it's kind of like this is your baby. Like you grew up with it. You're not gonna, quit on it or anything. You're here for the long run. And then, William Raymond Communications has supported me, has always had my back, has always believed in me. So it's only fair that I reciprocate the same.
All right, so working with the startup, that's something that most people don't get the chance to do in sports. How has
Hmm.
that experience been?
It was like I said, like my whole journey is unorthodox. Like I
Mhm.
got Steele and I both got offered this position while we were in the middle of grad school. So in the middle of like, doing your thesis and all that was Super Bowl week. And then like the week before Super Bowl. So it's like you wear many hats throughout the day. Your title's this, but in reality, you're doing all these different things, which is I still look back, I'm like, I'm very lucky for this, because a lot of like classmates of mine, a lot of people that I work with in sports, they are still trying to break that barrier, trying to still like get to that position, or they're stuck behind a desk job doing like these random tasks. Whereas working with Lauren, she always entrusted us and believed in us.
Mhm.
Go out there, do your thing. You're gonna make mistakes. That's the reality of it. So that's the biggest thing I would tell. Like when you have a CEO that believes in you and trust you guys while also like, teaching you lessons along the way. So, working a startup has been very beneficial, and it's always worth 100% of the time. I would say start with the startup instead of going to the big time agencies first, where you got to work your way from the bottom.
One last thing here for you. Is there any other advice that we did not cover that you would give to someone looking to make it into sports?
Some piece of advice. Well, I will tell them this. So when I was in grad school, any guest speaker we had on, every person that spoke to us who was already working in sports, they always said, you have to do ticket sales. You have to do
I've heard that a bunch too.
Literally stadium work, this and that. That's like the only way you'll make it in. That's not the only way. It's there's so many other paths you could take. You don't have to start at this position just because everyone else did. Like, go break down some doors. Like, go talk to people. Like, literally, like Twitter. Like, all these executives, CEOs are in there replying to people, talking to people. I would say like you learn a lot about someone, the personality, through like these social media apps than just like a formal phone call or like 20 minutes of like face to face. And if you develop enough of a relationship on Twitter, yeah, ask them for coffee, ask them for lunch. A lot of people in this industry came up from like the bottom, and then they had to work their asses off to get to the top. So when I see someone in grad school or even in high school who wants to break into sports, I'm like, hey, I'm here for you. Let's talk about it. Like, let me know what you need. I'll happily sit down with you, give you some tips and advice, because it's a very hard industry to break into. So it's only right that you help people that come after you.
There's one thing that I've heard about the sports industry, and I've heard it a bunch. It's that it's a mile wide and just an inch deep. How do you feel about that statement? Do you agree with that? There's a lot of opportunities, but in those opportunities, there's not many opportunities within that.
I would say so. Like when I'm going back to my example of my classmates. Some of the brightest people you meet, they'll get a job with like their dream team, like their dream franchise, whatever that team may be. But then 2-3 years later in, you kind of see them like they're still like doing the same thing, or they're like, damn, like I need to kind of like change things up. I feel stuck. So it's that statement is pretty true. You kind of got to like I said, knock down some doors. If you're just like content with like doing this and waiting for someone to give you permission, or waiting for someone to like, here's the opportunity, it's gonna take longer than expected. So literally go break down some doors, go keep looking for the next opportunity, and just be a good person.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Shahob. That was a really good interview, really informational stuff for those looking to break into the sporting industry.
Thank you so much, Logan. I really appreciate this, man.